Once again, good evening to all of my students and to all the viewers over there in YouTube. Okay, so in the last video, we have already discussed the idea about the individual and market demand schedule. And after completing individual and market demand schedule, we are following up our discussion with individual and market demand curve. Now, whenever we talk about a curve, basically the definition of curve is graphical form of representing any data. So if we represent the data in graphical form, it's known as a curve. Now in this demand chapter, and when we will be following the supply chapter as well, we are having individual and market demand curve. Now the basic difference between individual and market demand curve is individual demand curve is a graphical form of representing individual demand, while on the other hand, market demand curve is a graphical form of representing market demand. While coming to the definitional part, the individual demand curve is that particular curve that shows various quantities of a particular commodity that a single consumer is willing to consume at different possible prices at a point of time. Understood? On the other hand, market demand curve is a curve that represents different quantities of a particular single commodity that all the consumers in a market are willing to purchase at different possible prices at a point of time. This is a definition. If you want to get the difference in the representation form also, there is another point of difference. If you talk about the difference between the curve of the both, then individual demand curve is basically a downward sloping steep curve, while market demand curve is a downward sloping relatively flat curve. So individual demand curve is steep while market demand is flat, but both are downward sloping curve because both are microeconomics concept. So in the next video, we will be carrying forward the topic of discussion as why the demand curve is downward sloping. Just now I told you demand curve, both the individual and market demand curve is downward sloping. Now my question to all of you is, in the meantime, please go through some books and try to find out the answer that why the demand curve is a downward sloping curve. Thank you. Have a nice day. So hope to see you soon in the next video.